It's too hot to sleep in summer. I knocked on the door of my crush Fu Hengyu with an excuse. My air conditioner is broken. Can I come to your place for the night? The other party smiled. Are you sure? Of course. I directly occupied the magpie's nest, and even pounced on it at night. The next day, I got up and opened the door when I heard the knock. Fu Hengyu looked shocked when he saw the dusty servant at the door. Do you still have the energy to run in the morning? The other party was even more surprised and stammered. My plane just landed. Why are you at my house? Where's my brother? Did his plane just land? So who did I knock down yesterday? 1. Your brother? Hasn't he been abroad all the time? I just came back a few days ago. What's the matter? By the way, why are you at my house? A bolt from the blue. The person I rushed to yesterday was not Fu Hengyu, but Fu Jingchen. I'm thinking about how to find a reason to escape from this awkward place. A dull and magnetic voice came from behind. You're back. Get ready for dinner. Fu Hengyu responded and hurried forward to pull him. Brother, what's wrong with your neck? Why was it scratched? I swallowed nervously, for fear that he would directly expose me. It's nothing. A little wild cat came into the room last night and jumped on me and scratched me. Little wild cat? It's really strange when there was a little wild cat in our family. Yes, I also think it's strange. He said something and I was a little embarrassed to stand where I was. I was about to leave when Fu Hengyu stopped me. Lin Sheng, do you want to stay and have dinner together? No, I won't disturb your brother's reunion. It's better to stay. My brother will settle in China in the future. You will definitely see each other often. And it's good to have a meal together. Who wants to meet him again? It's better not to see each other again. It's too embarrassing. No, my mother cooked, so I'll go back first. Is that so? Your mother just went out, and I met my aunt. Fu Hengyu is really stupid. Fu Jingchen smiled and said unhurriedly, You don't have one more. Let's eat together. After saying that, he added slowly, I don't eat people. The tone is full of jokes and flirtation. You can't say anything. You couldn't wait to swallow me alive last night. 2. I slowly walked to the dining table and sat down. Fu Jingchen was wearing his dark blue silk pajamas last night, and his neckline was slightly open, and his chest muscles were looming. The picture of shame last night came to my mind again. My cheeks began to burn. Fu Hengyu seems to have noticed my change. What's wrong with you? Why is your face so red? Is it hot? I quickly covered my face. Yes, maybe this dish is a little spicy. Aren't you very good at spicy food? Okay, stop talking. Fu Hengyu was still chattering as if he didn't hear what I said. Why can't you eat spicy food all of a sudden? When did it happen? Cough. Fu Jingchen coughed twice and then said, Don't talk about food, don't talk about sleep. Fu Hengyu was really quiet. During the whole meal I felt like a needle felt. After eating I got up quickly and planned to leave this awkward place. But Fu Jingchen stopped me. What's your name? Her name is Lin Sheng. Fu Hengyu said while eating an apple. I said, and went out quickly. I ran to my room and covered my head with a quilt. I thought of what happened last night uncontrollably in my mind. The person I pounced on was actually Fu Jingchen. It's okay. Anyway, we won't see each other too many times in the future. Let's just think that nothing happened yesterday. The next day, I went to a beauty company for an interview. A group of interviewers sat in the office. And the person in the middle is actually Fu Jingchen. I'm really afraid of something. Hello, interviewers. My name is Lin Sheng. And I graduated from University A with a major in chemistry. Fu Jingchen was the first person to ask the question. How can graduate students majoring in chemistry want to work in a beauty company? People have their own aspirations, and the field I am most interested in is the beauty industry. I told the reason again. Although see you at beauty company is the leader of the beauty industry, I don't really want to be admitted at the moment. You have been hired. Mr. Fu, there are still many people behind or... No, that's it. It's hard for others to refute his instructions, so they can only nod. Now I was admitted and I still didn't react. I don't know what kind of medicine is sold in Fu Jingchen's gourd. Just out of the company, a luxury car parked in front of me. To get in the car. Fu Hengyu. I'm his brother. You can admit your mistake downstairs in my company, which is also a little stupid. No, I'll just take the subway back. Are you sure you want to be entangled with me here? There are so many people coming and going. I'm not sure if there will be any gossip tomorrow. I hesitated to open the back door, but I can't open it. In front, I'm not your driver. I took a deep breath, opened the co-driver's door and sat down. Why did you hire me? No, why? What happened the night before yesterday didn't happen. Speaking of which, I still suffered a loss. What's the matter? That's. It was a little difficult for me to say, but he smiled. 3. When there was another intersection away from home, I hurriedly asked him to stop. Just put me down here. Why are you afraid of being misunderstood? No, it's just that I like walking. I want to walk back. My acting skills and reasons are very poor. You are afraid that my unsuccessful brother will misunderstand. I didn't say anything, but he hummed softly, with a slight smell of vinegar. What do you like about him? Is he stubborn? Or is he nothing? What does this have to do with you? That's what you said about your brother. I subconsciously defend Fu Hengyu. Don't you remember me when I was a child? Before he finished his words, I interrupted him. I don't even remember when I was a child. I only know that I grew up with Fu Hengyu, and I know who he is. All right, then you can go. When I was 15 years old, I fell into the pond. Fu Hengyu saved me without hesitation. I fell in love with him at that time and have been secretly in love with him until now. I walked home, lying in bed, and received a call from my best friend Xiaomeng. Sheng, Fu Hengyu is going to have a dinner party in my father's restaurant tonight. You should seize the opportunity. A dinner? I don't even know. Oh my God. He won't want to confess to you. After all, you have an affair with the whole university, so you should be together. How is it possible? How can you not notify me when you confess? When Chow 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 arrived, the doorbell of my house was ringed. Fu Hengyu stood at the door and waited for me. What's the matter? Are you free tonight? My heart kept beating. What's the matter? I'm waiting for you at Xiaoming's restaurant at 8 o'clock tonight. What's the matter? I can't tell you first. It's a secret. After he said that, he went back to his home. I was still standing where I was and my heart couldn't stop. I dressed up carefully in my room to welcome this special day. I ordered the cake and held the flowers. I'm going to tell him how I feel for him at the same time as he runs to me. When I was going out, I met a person, so I hurried to hide. Don't hide. I'm not Fu Hengyu. I came out slowly. He looked at me. Are you going to confess? Oh, I wish you success. Thank you. I came to the door of the private room early, and the moment I pushed the door in, it directly gave me a bolt from the blue. 4. Fu Hengyu knelt on one knee and held a bouquet of flowers in his hand. And the person standing in front of him is my mortal enemy Meng Wanwan. My entry broke this romantic drama. Everyone cast doubtful glances at me, and some people who played well with Meng Wanwan have shown contemptuous expressions. What are you doing here? Meng Wanqian asked hostilely. I called her here. Why are you here so late? I just wanted to answer, but Fu Hengyu has already answered for me. Meng Wanwan seemed to suddenly understand something and slowly walked towards me. She pretended to hold my hand and walked forward intimately, which made me feel very uncomfortable. Sheng, I'm going to be with Fu Hengyu. Speaking of which, you are also childhood sweethearts. You will bless us, right? Oh, why are you still carrying flowers and roses? You don't think that Fu Hengyu is going to confess to you today, do you? She blinked her eyes, looking incredible. How maybe I'm a little speechless. After all, that's what I thought at the beginning. Then why do you bring flowers? Do you want to send it to me to bless me? She chased me step by step and didn't give me any steps. She took the flower and said with a smile, Then Hengyu, and I thank you very much for your kindness. After all, I thought you liked Hengyu at the beginning. If you like him, I'm embarrassed to argue with you. By the way, you can take the cake with you. I want to manage my figure. I'm not like you. Before she finished her words, a cold voice suddenly appeared. What does it look like her? It's Fu Jingchen. How did he appear here? Everyone was a little dumbfounded when they saw a face exactly like Fu Hengyu's. It turns out that Fu Hengyu also has a twin brother. The two of them are exactly the same. It's still a little different. In terms of temperament, Fu Hengyu is more mature. Fu Hengyu hurriedly relieved his girlfriend. Brother, that's not what Wanwan meant. She was joking with Lin Sheng. What a Fu Hengyu. Meng Wanyu just tried all kinds of trouble to me. He was as dumb. Now it's right or wrong to change to his girlfriend. Are you kidding? Why don't I think it's a joke? His tone was very serious and angry. Then he said to Meng Wan, Give me the flowers. Meng Wanwan handed him the flower with a little hesitation. Fu Jingchen took the flowers and threw them into the trash can. It was originally the flower you brought to me. If you touch it, it's dirty. I still don't want it. You. Meng Wanwan didn't dare to say anything in anger. He took my hand and left this place of right and wrong. 5. Fu Jingchen pulled his car in my hand. I have been waiting for him to speak first, but he has been sitting quietly. I broke the silence first. Why are you here? I happen to have a meeting next door. Then how do you know that I'm next door? I don't want to know either. It's because your movement is too loud. I answered in a low voice. Oh, by the way, I helped you solve the siege, but you didn't even say thank you? Thank you. He sneered and looked at me quietly. Lin Sheng. What do you like about my brother? Yes, what do I like about him? It seems that it's just because of a throbbing in adolescence. Was that throbbing out of love or gratitude? Seeing that I was speechless, he continued. You see, I look like him. If you like me, don't like him. Fu Hengyu said amazingly, and I was choked by my own saliva. He hurriedly handed me a bottle of water and helped me open it. Are you prying the wall? I asked carefully while drinking water. Of course not. After all, you are not together. How can it be regarded as a prying foot? Then you can't do this either. What am I like? You can't fall in love with me just because of a one-night stand. He looked at me and couldn't help laughing. I felt a little embarrassed after saying this sentence. Looking at me like this, he shook his head. Then he said, I'll take you home. I whispered, aren't you going back too? Obviously, you're on the way. What do you want to say to send me back? All it, I can hear it. After getting off the bus, I was about to enter my own door. He stopped me and said, you think about what I said today. I turned my back to him and nodded. I was about to push the door and when another voice stopped me. The sound of the forest. It's Fu Hengyu. What's the matter? I have something to tell you. The three people stood in the aisle and looked at each other. The scene was really awkward. Fu Hengyu's face was a little dark, and he turned around and entered his house. What's the matter? What's the matter with me and my brother? Are you together? There are some questions in Fu Hengyu's tone. Looking at his appearance, I felt a little disgusted. Who am I with? Does it have anything to do with you? Of course it has something to do with it. Well, what does it matter? Didn't you like me at the beginning? How could you turn around and be with someone else? And that person is still my brother. I was stunned for a moment. It turns out that he has always known that I like him. He also asked me to witness his confession today. So, you have always known that I like you? You also asked me to witness your happy moments today. And you also watched your lover, my mortal enemy, secretly humiliate me in front of so many people. What are you? You are just a selfish villain. After saying that, I left him alone in place. In the other side of the room, the corners of the man's mouth twitched slightly. 6. The next day in the company, a related household suddenly came to the company. Secretary Lee came in with a woman. Let me introduce myself. This is a new colleague who has just arrived in the company. Welcome. I raised my head. It's Meng Wanwan. What a coincidence. Wanwan, just sit by the voice. Both of you are new colleagues so you can take care of each other. Meng Wanwan stared at me, and then nodded to Director Lee. She slowly came to me and sat on the empty seat next to me. That day's interview ended before I arrived. It turned out that you were the person who was admitted. I really didn't expect that we competed for tutors in college and competed for jobs after graduation. Are we also destined? Yes, it's a pity that you have never been better than me. Is that so? Let's wait and see. Meng Wanwan, I don't want to fight with you. We all rely on our ability. You regard me as your imaginal enemy. Is that so? How can I? Before she finished her words, Fu Hengyu's secretary came to me. Lin Sheng, Mr. Fu asked you to go to his office. I got it, I'm coming. As soon as I got up, Meng Wanwan began to get angry. You are really able to climb into another young master of the Fu family so quickly. It's a pity that Fu Hengyu still doesn't like you. You'd better admit that you can't compare with me. After listening to this sentence, I had a guess in my heart. You don't like Fu Hengyu, do you? You are just like this because you want to beat me. You can't compare with me in other aspects, so you want to use this method. I'm right. You. Looking at her angry look, I'm sure I'm absolutely right. During college, we both applied for the same tutor's laboratory at the same time. But this teacher only recruits one student, and I was lucky to be selected. Later, it was another exchange opportunity for learning, and she and I applied at the same time. I was 1 point higher than her, so I got that opportunity. Maybe it's because of this that the two people haven't dealt with each other. I don't want to fight with her so much. I think it's all about each other's ability. But she has always regarded me as an imaginative enemy, and wants to fight for everything. I even think that if we enter the same company, maybe she wants to win or lose with me. It's really boring. Meng Wanwan, you are very smart, but don't use your intelligence in the wrong place. This is a company, not a school. You can't be allowed to do anything now. I want you to say it. I just warned her that it was up to her to hear it or not. 7. Mr. Fu, do you call me? I heard that there is a newcomer in the company. Yes, Mr. Fu. How can you not know about the newcomer in the company? Mr. Fu, if you have anything to say, just say it directly. Well, I just hope you don't affect your work because of the love of your children. Mr. Fu, I won't. I hope you don't doubt my professional ability. Okay, it's all right. You go out. I went back to my workplace and continued to do my work. After a while, Director Wang came out to announce a message. Everyone, please note that we are about to cooperate with the Hot Fan Company, and this time we need to pay special attention to the quality supervision. You two newcomers will be in charge of it together to see your strength. In my place, I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. You can't do it without strength. His words were pointing at Meng Wanwan, and Meng Wanwan nodded with a stiff smile. After he left, Meng Wanwan began to be a demon again. Lin Shang, since we are working together, don't drag me down. I nodded, hummed softly, and continued my work. What do you mean? You have always been like this. You like to look down on people. But I'll tell you, this is not a school. It's not certain who has the ability to be great. It's not good to study hard. I said, you also have a problem. Have you finished your work today? Didn't you hear it yourself just now? Director Wang only looks at his strength, not the background. Your trick doesn't work. Do you think you? I don't think I'm nothing, but I know how to do my job well, and worry less about other people's affairs. After I finished my words, her face turned pale, but she couldn't refute anything. I didn't want to see her either, so I picked up my coffee cup and went to the tea room to pour water. My colleague Xiao Su happened to be there. She took the initiative to greet me and said, "Hello. Hello, hello. You may not remember me. I met you when you were interviewed." Oh, that's really no impression. In fact, I didn't pay much attention to everyone's appearance that day. No, after spending a good night with Brother Zhuma, I became the boss of his company 39,103. Relations. Haha, my name is Su Meng, Ms. Fu's life assistant. Life assistant? Fu Jingchen's little life is quite nourishing. In this comparison, Fu Hengyu is indeed like a straw bag. What's wrong with you? Why are you in a daze? I suddenly turned around and said, "No, I just thought about working overtime today. I'm a little tired both physically and mentally." She patted me on the shoulder and said sympathetically, "It's okay. There is still tomorrow after today. Come on." Good, good. Thank you for your comfort. I'm going back to my post first. You drink slowly. I just returned to my seat, and there was a cup of milk tea on it. I just wanted to ask who it was. A colleague poked his head out and said, "Thank you for the milk tea of the new beauty Wan Wan." Another colleague came and said, "Lin Shang Wan Wan bought us milk tea. Do you also want to show it?" I was about to answer when a magnetic and possessive voice answered for me. "What do you mean?" Meng Wanwan immediately answered. "Mr. Fu, Lin Shang wants to invite everyone to dinner after work today." He turned his head and asked me, "Ray, with so many people watching, it would be difficult for me to get along in the company in the future." I smiled and replied, "Yes, but I have to work overtime today. Can you help me share some work? I haven't finished my own work. How can I help you?" "Real? I saw that you were so free today that I thought you had finished all the work." Meng Wanqi smiled awkwardly and said nothing. I looked at her embarrassed look and then said, "Forget it. I'll finish it quickly and invite everyone to dinner after work." Some colleagues continued to say, "Okay, Lin Shang, come on. We're just waiting for a big meal after work." When everyone kept chipping, Fu Jingchen interjected, "I'll go too." Mr. Fu, who has never attended the orientation banquet, actually took the initiative to say that he would attend the orientation banquet of the two newcomers. It is inevitable that some people will discuss it. After Fu Jingchen returned to his office, the whole office was still discussing. Why do you think Mr. Fu suddenly went to the orientation banquet of the two newlyweds? There must be extraordinary people among these two newcomers. Don't talk about the leader's affairs. You will be criticized again when Assistant Su hears it. Then who do you think it will be? After work, everyone is going to take a taxi to the restaurant I set. As soon as I walked to the door of the company, a luxury car was parked at the door. It was Fu Jingchen's car, but the person who came down was not Fu Jingchen but Fu Hengyu. He was wearing a big-name red shirt with a slightly open neckline, looking cynical. The people present looked at the same face as Fu Jingchen, plus Fu Jingchen's car, and they were a little shocked. But seeing the cynical appearance of the person in front of me, I hesitated whether to say hello or not. Some people broke the silence first and shouted, "Mr. Fu!" Fu Hengyu smiled and said, "I'm not your Mr. Fu, I'm." Before he finished his words, Meng Wanwan stepped forward to hold him. "Let me introduce myself. This is my boyfriend." She deliberately accented the pronunciation of the last few words. At this moment, some of the topics discussed in the office during the day have been answered in mind. But at this time Fu Jingchen came. "Who let you drive my car?" 9. Fu Hengyu's eyes were a little fluttering and guilty. He walked to Fu Jingchen's side and put one arm on his shoulder. "Brother, do you see if this is your car? You must have remembered it wrong. I remember correctly, this is my car." Fu Jingchen did not give Fu Hengyu a chance to pretend at all, and directly exposed his lies. Fu Hengyu saw that Fu Jingchen was so bad that he began to make up for himself. Oh, that's why I drove the wrong car. Our cars are the same. I didn't drive wrong once or twice, did I? Fu Hengyu looked at Fu Jingchen as if begging him not to tell the truth. Fu Jingchen sneered and said nothing. Fu Hengyu saw that Fu Jingchen didn't say anything, and then began to say, "Let's go, let's have dinner. I'll accompany my girlfriend. Do you mind?" He is Fu Jingchen's younger brother. Whoever dares to have an opinion, they all nod with a smile. Meng Wanwan took Fu Hengyu's hand and got into the car under everyone's gaze, with pride written on his face. Other colleagues also got on the bus one after another, and when I was finally about to get on the car, Fu Jingchen stopped me and said, "You and me." I took a look at Assistant Su beside him, who was still holding a pile of documents, guessing that he should still have some work to do in the car, so I replied, "No, you can be with Assistant Su. Su Meng, you go to that car. I have something to deal with." Su Meng didn't get on the car immediately and froze in place, as if he couldn't believe it. Fu Jingchen saw that she didn't move for a long time and said, "Didn't you hear what I said?" Su Meng came back to his senses. "Yes, I'm about to leave." Fu Jingchen didn't say much and pulled me into the car behind him. When I passed by Su Meng, I seemed to see her sad and resentful eyes. Fu Jingchen and I sat in the car in silence. I broke the silence and said, "You. What? Why are you doing that?" "Which one?" "You pulled me up directly." Su Meng saw it. "I'm afraid that people in the company will misunderstand our relationship in the future." Our relationship? What do you think is the relationship between me and you? We are just ordinary neighbors, and the relationship between the two families is just a world friendship. Will the neighbors sleep together? There was a sense of teasing and ambiguity in his tone. I felt a little uncomfortable and then said, "Can you stop doing this? You will only make me uncomfortable. The time between me and you was just an accident, and your unilateral love will only put pressure on me." Well, I got it. Don't worry, Su Meng won't talk about it, and I won't talk about it in the future. I won't say that anymore until you decide to like me. His tone and expression are very serious. 10. Everyone is very lively in the restaurant. Halfway through, Meng Wanwan suddenly proposed to play games, and those who lost should punish themselves. Some colleagues were originally a little uncomfortable because of Fu Jingchen's present, but now Meng Wanwan has agreed with the plan to liven up the atmosphere. The game is guessing boxing. I'm unlucky. I keep losing and drinking. When I drank the 4th cup, my whole body was already a little blurred, and everyone was still coaxing me to drink the 5th cup. I picked up the cup on the table and filled it with beer. I was about to drink it when my cup was taken away. Fu Jingchen suffocated the glass of wine in one gulp. Everyone looked at him, and the scene immediately became quiet. I was a little confused. I grabbed the empty cup and stood up straight. I opened my eyes in a daze and glanced at the table. My eyes fell on Fu Jingchen, and then looked at Fu Hengyu. "Why do you two look exactly the same?" Someone pulled my sleeve and coughed in a low voice to hint at me. I shook it off and then looked at the man and asked him, "Why are you pulling me?" The scene was awkward for a while. I looked at Meng Wanwan again and said, Why do you always come against me? Who do you think you are? If you don't have the ability, you can improve. Why do you always trouble me? It's not my fault that the tutor didn't choose you." After saying this, I thought that every time she came to criticize me, I was even more angry. I breathed a sigh of relief and sneered as if I was laughed at. I wanted to continue to say something, but I was stopped and picked up. The man hugged me and I kept muttering while moving around. "Let me down. I haven't finished yet." Fu Jingchen hugged my hand tightly and whispered seriously, "Don't move." Being hit by him, I was a little wronged and began to sob. "You two, why are you so cruel to me?" He put me in the co-pilot's seat and immediately began to admit his mistake. "I was wrong. Don't cry, okay?" I cried harder. "Fu Jingchen, why do you like me? If only you were the one who saved me when I was a child, I wouldn't." Fu Jingchen was about to drive when his movements stagnated. He slowly turned his head and looked at me and asked, "What did you say? Shall we say it again? If I were a child. If." Before I finished my words, I fell asleep. 11. I haven't seen him much since that day. I forgot all about my own drunkenness, and I still knew some superficial things from my colleagues. I also want to ask him in person. People who don't see him much. It's hard to see him once, and he will find a reason to leave me alone. Later, I didn't bother anymore, and I had been busy with quality supervision with Meng Wanwan. It's strange to say that she has been quite safe these days, and my cooperation with her is also quite good. Just when I thought I woke her up after drinking that day, the problem arose. In the past few days, the company's offline stores have suddenly had a lot of complaints. Many people say that their lips become inflamed after using lipstick, and many people come to complain about lotion, saying that their skin becomes red, swollen and sensitive after using it. What's more exaggerated is that someone ran to the hot fan company to make trouble. This cooperation between our company and hot fans is a hard-won opportunity. The company immediately began to investigate this matter and screen relevant people one by one. Director Wang called me and Meng Wanwan over to ask questions. Director Wang asked seriously, "Who among you two can give me an explanation?" Director Wang, "I have been seriously completing what I should do. I don't know what's going on." Meng Wanqian said it one step ahead of me. Then I said, "Yes, both of us have taken responsibility seriously. I don't know what's going on. Is it possible to mess with the family? Have you checked the quality of these recovered samples?" Director Wang replied, "I have checked it. There is indeed a problem." Meng Wanwan continued, "I have an idea. Let's see when most of these samples are produced, and then the problem will be clear." Director Wang nodded and immediately began to investigate. After investigation, it was found that most of the output time was during the working hours I was responsible for. Director Wang called me and Meng Wanqian in, and everyone was in question. Director Wang threw the document on the table, and his whole expression was very serious. "Lin Sheng, can you explain?" Director Wang, "I don't admit this. I didn't do it. These are all products produced during your working hours. You said it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me. If I did it, I would admit it. I didn't do it, and I won't admit it even if I die." Meng Wanwan then added fuel and vinegar and said, "Lin Sheng, just admit your mistake. It doesn't matter. Let's find a way to solve the problem together." I hummed softly and retorted back, "You said it easily. Do you want me to have no foothold in this industry? Besides, I didn't do it. Why should I admit it? If it's a big deal, adjust the monitoring." At this time, Fu Jingchen came with someone. 12. He came in leisurely. Director Wang, "What's the matter?" "Mr. Fu, it's..." Director Wang explained the matter roughly. Fu Jingchen raised his eyebrows and looked at Meng Wanwan with interest. Fu Jingchen continued, "Won't you know by checking the surveillance?" Director Wang said with some embarrassment, "The monitor was broken for some time. I forgot to ask someone to repair it." Fu Jingchen smiled and said, "It's not closed." "Yes, I asked Assistant Su to find someone to fix it. There should still be the video of those days. You can check it out." After listening, Meng Wanwan was a little nervous and said cautiously, "Mr. Fu, we all know that the surveillance is broken, so don't joke." Her eyes fell on Su Meng beside Fu Jingchen again, and her eyes were a little complicated. Su Meng seemed to care and took out the surveillance video and played it on the computer. Sure enough, I saw that during everyone's lunch break, Meng Wanwan entered the production room and didn't know what was poured into the beaker. Now that the evidence is conclusive, Meng Wanyu is also a little flustered. Just now she was swearing to wrong me, but now her eyes are flustered. "It's you. It's you who wronged me. You didn't like me when you were drinking before. You must have wronged me." I pushed her away. "Who is wronging whom now? The evidence is here. What else do you want to say?" She walked to Su Meng again and grabbed Su Meng's collar with her hand. "It's you. You deliberately asked me to do this. It's you." Su Meng looked scared of her, and her voice trembled. "What do you mean I? Don't pretend to be with me. You told me that the surveillance was broken. Didn't you deliberately let me do it?" I said, "But I didn't let you do anything. I'm just saying that the monitor is broken and needs to be repaired. It's you who want to harm others. What does it have to do with me?" Su Meng sobbed in a low voice. Fu Jingchen saw her crazy appearance and called the security guard over. When the security guard dragged Meng Wan away, Fu Hengyu just arrived. Fu Hengyu stopped the security guard outside the door and pushed Director Wang and Su Meng out of the office. Only me, him and Fu Jingchen were left in the room. He came to me and said to me, "Xiaoxing, let's forget about it. She didn't mean it. She was just arrogant. She refused to admit that she was not as good as you, so she took this crooked path." "Fu Hengyu, this is not my decision. I can't help it. It's not a matter of whether I forgive or not." He walked to Fu Jingchen again. "Brother, you are flexible." "Flexible? Instead of talking to your brother here, you'd better go and talk to her." Fu Hengyu knew that there was no way to talk to us, so he went out by himself. Only Fu Jingchen and I are left in the office. He was going to go out, so I hurried to stop him. "Why are you hiding from me?" "I didn't." "Then why haven't I seen you for days in a row?" "You're not hiding from me." "Why?" He didn't say anything and planned to go out. Su Meng just pushed the door and came in. "Mr. Fu, there is another meeting today. Let's go." Fu Jingchen nodded. I stood where I was, a little melancholy. In Fu Jingchen's car, he and Su Meng sat quietly together. Su Meng suddenly said, "Mr. Fu, the girl's mind is always so obvious. Before Su Meng finished speaking, his face turned red. I know I don't like you. The person I like is it Lin Sheng? But how long have you known her? I have followed you since you first entered the company. Only I can. Do you think I don't know that you did that? You haven't been exposed in public for so many years. I'll give you face and resign by yourself. Fu Jingchen, do you really want to do this? The car is parked on the side of the road. Fu Jingchen didn't look at her and said, You go by yourself. Su Meng got out of the car with tears in his eyes and looked at the car far away, with a faint hatred in his eyes. Later I received a call and she asked me out for coffee. When I saw her, she was in a bad mood and her eyes were distracted. Are you all right? Looking at her appearance, I was a little worried, so I asked politely, Do you think I'm good? Why do you think he likes you? What's good about you? Is it so important to fall in love with people in adolescence? What adolescence? Say it clearly. She looked at me with contempt and disdain in her eyes. But what about you? I don't even know why they like you even. Tell me clearly. Why don't you ask yourself? She said she would pick up the bag on the table and leave. I knew Fu Jingchen wouldn't tell me, so I went to find Fu Hengyu. Meng Wanwan was detained because of that incident. He was in a bad mood these days and didn't want to see me. I called several times before I reluctantly agreed to meet me for an hour. When he saw him, he looked at me with disgust. I didn't expect that we grew up together for so many years, and finally became so alienated because of an outsider. What are you doing? Do you still remember that I fell into the water when I was a child and you saved me up? Save you? I can't swim. How can I save you? You can't swim. My voice is a little choked. Don't pretend with me here. I've seen you clearly. No, I will never waste time on you again. That I left with my bag and drove to find Fu Jingchen. 14. I pushed the door directly into his office. I know it all. Are you still hiding it from me? Why don't you tell me that I have been mistaken for so many years? At that time I went to buy a water, and you fell into the water. I didn't dare to think if I came back a few minutes later. Before he finished his words, I gently covered his lips and blocked his words. He was stunned for a moment, and then responded to me hard. The two people are entangled together, which is a little fierce. I quickly pushed him away. My face turned red, and I was a little embarrassed to look at him. What's wrong? I wasn't shy that night. I gagged his mouth with my finger and blamed him. Okay, stop talking, I know. How about tonight? Oh, don't be rude. Later, Fu Jingchen and I quickly got a marriage certificate and held a grand wedding. Fu Hengyu didn't come. He took Meng Wanwan abroad. Su Meng also lost news in this industry. 1 year after marriage, I gave birth to a daughter who looked like Fu Jingchen. He came to me every day when he came home from work, hugged me, and lingered in my ear. What are you doing? Why do you go around me every day to see your daughter? How can a daughter have a wife? You are also true. I patted him gently and said that he was rude. He was still around me and said, How about tonight? Oh, I've been here for the past few days and my daughter is still here. Send her to grandma's house. Oh, you hate it. Are you all right? Don't. He picked me up and carried me into the room. My daughter is sleeping. Don't make a fuss now, or... I couldn't stand it anymore. I put my arms around his neck, and the two of them lingered together.